Now, you fought sailors. You fought guys sweeping zoos. What do you spend your time fighting the other 90% of the time in the villain campaign? Fighting these boys, the police. Now, we see all this ruckus in the news about video games like Grand Theft Auto antagonizing the police by having the protagonist committing a plethora of crimes and killing cops. Where was all that fuss when Lego Batman came out? Literally half the story had you playing the most evil villains, killing police officers and innocent people, essentially tearing them apart by the limb. Now, in terms of the game, how are they? Well, they're pretty much no different than the villain's subordinates. It's just that they're not goons, they're just police. You'll see in this part every different variant of the police. There aren't as many as the villain subordinates, but there's still a fair amount of them. Yes, this is a villain subordinate, only ever seen in the Mr. Freeze level titled Icy Reception. Now, these subordinates, in my opinion, are placed under the goons and henchmen in terms of power in the criminal organization, because Riddler is the main villain in his campaign. The villains that accompany him to achieve the goal that he has in the campaign, those being Clayface, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and Two-Face, are essentially Riddler's left-hand men and women, which basically means subordinates, right? While these other villains are above the Riddler's henchmen, the specific henchmen of these sub-villains should be lower on the power level than the Riddler's henchmen, since the Riddler's henchmen, they're the henchmen of the main villain, while Freeze Girl is the henchman of the villain that's already under the Riddler. Hopefully, this is really confusing, so hopefully you followed all of that. Anyway, the Freeze Girl ranks higher because I like her outfit and she's so specific. And let's just get back to the people you fight in the villain campaigns. Up next is the security guard. Yeah, they're technically not a part of law enforcement, but rather the guys that are supposed to stop the villain from doing whatever they're doing in a specific setting. But something tells me they're a bit more advanced, a bit better trained. I mean, the stereotypical security guard I see when I picture one is a fat guy eating donuts. So props to TT Games for breaking that stereotype and instead making these guys having almost impossible abilities. But then again, this is a Lego game taking place in the DC universe, so what do I know? I mean, it's never daytime in Gotham anyway. So, I mean, these security guards must be on duty all the time. They gotta be well equipped. I told you we weren't done with the goons. TT Games ran out of synonyms for henchman, and Joker Goon was already taken, so they found a synonym for Joker. That's what happened here, no doubt. The Clown Goon, I believe, is higher than the other villain subordinates thus far. Why? Well, his color scheme is different, I guess. There isn't anything different from the others' ability and accessory-wise. The thing that I'm still trying to figure out is how the Goon lore fits into all of this. As stated in the last part, all 100 of the Goon brothers moved from the Penguin to the Joker to the Riddler. I believe a few of the Goon brothers, instead of moving over to the Riddler, stayed with the Joker and dressed themselves up in clown gear to avoid being pranked by the Joker. Maybe the Joker wouldn't prank them because they look like him? Yeah, that's sufficient enough. I think that'll be canon. What's cooler than a police officer? A police marksman. I'm not kidding when I say the developers were milking for characters. In the DS version of the game, there are actually more characters in addition to the ones you see here, but most of them are just alter egos of the villains. For example, Poison Ivy's Pamela Isley, or Scarecrow's Jonathan Crane, and Catwoman's Selena Kyle, among many others, are on the roster in the DS version. Now that would be milking it, since most of them didn't really do anything different, but there were a few characters in the DS version that I actually would want to see in the console version. One being Azrael, an obscure but cool addition. I don't know why they decided to put more characters in a handheld game, but either way, I would have wanted to see that roster in the console version. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be talking about this guy, the police marksman, right? Well, imagine the police officer, but with a bigger gun. That's this guy. I guess it's kind of notable that he doesn't have a pistol, but, you know. Alright, this is a little editor's note after the fact. In case you didn't notice, the icon for this character is nothing like what he looks like in the actual level. The police marksman in the level is just a SWAT team member with his hat the other way. So, in case you didn't notice that, I write the script and record before I get footage from the game. So I didn't really realize that at the time, but wow, that's lazy. That's really lazy, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. The villain infestation in Gotham got so bad that they straight up called the military. I mean, why is Gotham not completely run down at this point? Just like its real life counterpart. The crime rate in Gotham has got to be literally off the charts, and Gotham also has the absolute worst prison system ever. In this game, all the villains are free to roam the hallways. I mean, come on, no wonder these villains keep getting out. The guards probably let them out if they asked nicely. Although, you'd think Batman roaming the streets every night would be enough as a deterrent for criminals. My theory is that the military policemen are here to inspect Gotham as the next nuke site. I mean, Batman's method isn't stopping criminals from doing their thing. And crime can spread to other cities. So how about we just stop it at its source with the third ever nuke to be dropped? I'll let you think about it. This is probably one of the strangest names for a throwaway character. Like, yeah, I get that they are probably called in a lot to help take down these villains, since the regular police just get mowed down by them. But the SWAT also gets mowed down in this game, so does it make a difference? I mean, just wait for Batman, damn. Wait, where was I? Oh yeah. I get why they're in the roster, because it's pretty conceivable that they would need to be called in after the police get destroyed. But why are they just called SWAT? You tell me this guy's name is Special Weapons and Tactics? I don't know about you, but I don't think that's not quite a name. Someone out there, name your future child Special Weapons and Tactics in honor of this boy right here. Side note, how often are the SWAT team called in Gotham? I mean, why would you want to live in Gotham to begin with, let alone be in law enforcement? Also, I hope you guys don't mind me not talking about the game at all. I'm sorry, there's just nothing interesting about this guy. Remember with the Freeze Girl when I said the developers of this game over at TT Games probably got too lazy to make goons for every villain, yet they still did it for the first few before that point? Well, here's exhibit number 2. Poison Ivy is the third villain you face in the game, if you're not counting Two-Face's van, in which case Poison Ivy would be the fourth. But I will say that these Poison Ivy goons do get points for being different. Different as in a different species, maybe? Unless these are also one of the 100 Goon siblings, except Poison Ivy just covered them in moss and made them put on red eye contacts. The Yeti is quite an anomaly. First off, Yeti? Really? Who would be... It's just I don't know why he's even in the game. I don't even remember seeing him. There's a lot of debate around the Yeti's actual role in the game. I know it doesn't seem like it considering the game is over a decade old and it is a throwaway character after all. But hear me out here, fellas. First, let me note that the Yeti is unlocked for purchase after you complete the Penguin's layer level, the final level in the Penguin Hero campaign. However, notice the character. It's a Yeti. A Yeti lives in cold places. Wouldn't it make more sense if the Yeti was a Mr. Freeze henchman? Assuming you said yes, then why wasn't he unlocked after the Mr. Freeze level? It's quite a puzzler. It's a riddle, if you will. The final theory is that the Yeti is actually a minor Batman villain by the name of Snowman. This one is a bit far-fetched considering that his name isn't Snowman, but it's still neat to think about. The Yeti is arguably one of the most debated upon character in the game, and that should be noted. To end this part on a high note, this is the last character with no special ability at all. That's right. Thank you. It took us 3 parts, well, 2 and a 5th of a part, but we're here, ending it with the Commish. He's played a pretty cool part in the game, surprisingly. He was even a boss fight in the Joker villain campaign, and he was also kidnapped as a result of that boss fight, and that's where it was left off in the Joker hero campaign, for Batman to rescue him. Now, as I've implied, of course he has no abilities at all, besides his handy pistol. He didn't change his appearance at all in LEGO Batman 2. In LEGO Batman 3, he's included in the Dark Knight DLC, resembling the Gary Oldman's Commissioner, which is the best version there is. You can't convince me otherwise. But in DC Supervillains, he took an aging pill or something. Because, wow, look at that. Maybe because Barbara Gordon is also in the game as Batgirl. Anyway, finally, let's get into some more interesting characters.